What's going on, Chris?
Good. How are you?
It's been busy, busy morning.
Thanks for going through this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so I could just jump around then before getting to Fire Emblem.
Yeah. What
So the
about
first thing I can ask is, you have a special story of how you got into SAG?
how I got into SAG? Uh, man. Well, I got into SAG basically like it was. I started off at a post production house that made commercials, and I was basically like doing client services, and I would scratch track some of the spots that we were working on because we worked on commercials and worked on short films. And I would scratch track some of that stuff, and then the client wound up liking my stuff. And what happens is before you can join SAG, you have this thing called Taft Hartley,
Yeah.
and Taft Hartley basically means like you're not in SAG, but we give you permission to work a SAG job, and you can get maybe three of those before you are able or eligible to join SAG. Or if you have someone else who basically puts you out, they can like connect you, if you have that special hookup. But normally you have to have like a few Taft Hartleys, and then you can join SAG. So I would basically I'd get maybe a job here, a job there, and after a while, um, I was eligible to join SAG, and I when I could afford it, I joined it because when I was working, I would get these jobs, but just because you're getting jobs doesn't mean you can afford SAG because you have to pay your dues. When you're in SAG, you have to pay monthly dues, and it doesn't really make sense to join SAG if you can't afford these dues yet. So I waited until I was like basically like got a little bit more fluent, uh, or booking jobs regularly that required SAG, and then once that happened, then I joined SAG. Um, yeah, that's my story.
Did you always have more of a affinity for voiceover opposed to try to pursue live action?
You know what? I wanted to be an on-camera actor when I first started doing acting. I still want to be an on-camera actor. It's different. It's just a different thing. But I was trained to be an on-camera actor. I went to several workshops. I trained with Leslie Kahn, who's a really well-known acting coach in the industry, for like 2 years, and I trained to be on TV. And then I realized, I'm 6'3" and some change, and I was in my early 20s, and I just wasn't really that confident with what I could do. So I got cold feet, and I kind of languished for a few years in my 20s trying to figure out, what do I really want to do. Um, I just didn't have the confidence I needed, and so uh, when I was reaching 30, I was like, well, I have to pick a job. I have to figure out something, which is what led me to my career as a voiceover actor ultimately, because I worked at a place that cuts commercials, and from there I became a scratch tracker, and then all of a sudden I got picked up for a commercial, and then after a while I got enough stuff to get my agent, and from there I started auditioning for video games and for animation. My first video game was Asura's Wrath. My second video game was uh, it was Resident Evil Raccoon City.
Mm,
Uh, and so yeah, so basically, like to answer your question, sorry I rambled.
that's okay.
Um, I think both skills are equally exciting, and I love what I do for voiceovers, but I also love what I do for on camera, which are very different yet similar. Because if you want to be a voiceover actor, you have to learn how to act. You have to know how to act. You have to know how to take direction, and both those require the same kind of skill.
Mhm. And do you think you have a preference for working on more dramatic projects over comedic, or
that's a good question. You know, I like comedic. I do like the drama. I like to stir a little bit of tea. I like I like the ones where you can kind of get meaty and you kind of get like a little bit more emotional. I do like that. It challenges me to kind of like dig deep, but also comedy can challenge you as well because you have to be really good with you have to be good with improv. You have to be good with you can be kind of good with with your timing. You have to like your timing has to be great. You have to have a good sense of what's going to be funny for yourself, so you can kind of sell it to whoever's going to be watching it. You don't necessarily want to hammer a joke home, but you want to make sure that you feel it. Most of the time, if you feel it, if you feel comfortable with it, you're not like hammering it. Other people will feel it too.
What do you think then is the darkest headspace you've had to go for voiceover so far?
Oh God. What was, that is a good question. What was a dark headspace? When I did, I would say, because I've had to do some good anime where I had to get kind of dark. I would say like I just did a video game for Diablo. I was one of these souls that were crying on the trees. We did a whole where I voiced several demons, and then we had to do this one thing where we were on a tree, and there's souls that are in hell, and they're like in pain and anguishing, and everyone's like crying and withering, and surprisingly, Deborah Wilson, who's a really well known VO actress and a phenomenal woman, she started it off by just really just breaking down and crying. She just cried, and she was the first one to go. So then everyone started breaking down and crying, and so I had to I was like, well, I can't just like do a regular cry. I have to have to really go for it. So I wound up like getting myself in a headspace to cry my ass off, and I cried and shaking and shit. I would probably say that was like the darkest I had to go, because I really feel like physically had to make myself cry for that one. I did a role on Demon Slayer where I had to play a father to one of the Hashiras.
Correct.
And I had to be drunk, and I had to be very angry, and I was just very I just so pissed, and because I was pissed at my life. I was pissed at like how my wife had died, and all this stuff was going on, and I had to really like kind of get into like a excuse my French, a fuck it mentality. So I got pretty dark for that one too, I would say.
Well, speaking of Demon Slayer, was there any special like story of how that audition came up, or?
Oh, dude, I've been working with Bang Zoom for a while.
Yeah.
Peace out to mommy at Bang Zoom. A lot of my roles I've gotten through Bang Zoom. I've had a really good relationship with them, and I emailed mommy, and I was like, because I found out because Demon Slayer is one of my favorite franchises. I love it. It's just one of those things that just kind of hooked me like Hero Academia, Naruto, Bleach. These are all roles that kind of like have a special little like seed in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're one of my favorites. So when I found out that Bang Zoom was doing the voice casting for the English dubs, I immediately emailed mommy, and I was like, "Listen, mommy, I would love to audition for anything in the future with Demon Slayer. Like, if I would have the chance, I would love it. I will burp on the mic if I need to. Like, I don't care if I have to like be a villager or whatever. I would just love to just be on the franchise." So they gave me for the movie they gave me the role of the Demon Train when the Demon Train's sleeping in that little segment. And then also the role of Dad for the main character, and so I started off there. I was like, okay, well, it's gonna be a little one-off, and then finally we had the Entertainment District arc for Demon Slayer, and then I got to come back with the same character as the Papa. So and that was cool, and I got to like beat up and cause like a little stir. So I'm looking up something here on IMDb, because you know what, sometimes when you do things, you forget that you've done them.
Yeah.
And then you need to be reminded of all that. I know I did something else. Hold on one second. Yes. Yeah. So for when I was like, let me see. Was I something else? Nope. I was only Shinjiro. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I only did Shinjiro. That was for 3 episodes. Yep. Okay. So I'm just making sure my recollection is good. So with Shinjiro, I just had to I had to play a drunk, and I had to play, I had to be very bitter, and I had to be like, and I had to kind of beat on the main character, but also apologize at the end. And I thought that was I thought that was really cool. He's humanistically wise. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like recognizing your flaws and coming to grips with that. I thought that was really cool.
Hmm. Was your first like major anime part though in Jojo?
Yeah, man. You know, I would say what it was. You know what? Hold on. Now I'm gonna go down memory lane. Yeah, I would say the first one was JoJo. Second one was Hunter x Hunter. I was musicin at Hunter x.
Right.
I would say JoJo's my first one for Whole Horse. And did I do Whole or did I do David? No, I think I did Whole Horse first. Yeah. And they didn't want. I wanted to do like a Texas like a cowboy slang and all that stuff. They didn't want that. They wanted like more of like a they wanted more of like a jokey guy. Like hey, I'm Whole Horse and I'm just kind of like I'm a tough guy. But yet he had so many different layers. I love Whole Horse so much. He's just one of my favorite characters to play. He's just such an asshole, um, but also like he's charismatic. He's a coward, but he's not. He's a gentleman, but he's not. It's like he's like all these different double standards. He looks mighty and he's strong, but he attaches himself to like the biggest bosses he can find because that gives him the confidence. So I thought that was kind of funny to play him on that.
Yeah. And obviously you have a good character in a Sword Art Online as well.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Uh, Bercoli. I mean,
Yep.
that's my baby boy. I actually have a tat in honor of Sword Art. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I have a tat of that's his sword slashing through a an hourglass, and then his dragon is like perched on top of the hourglass, and there's a citadel right here where he lives, or lived, and yeah, so that was like my honor, like an honor of Broccoli. He's my, I guess they called him Uncle Hot Uncle Broccoli. Was like what's the name of him? So that I got that we got that name when he was it was great. I love Broccoli so much. It was me and like the whole like basically the whole cast. We just kind of like all fell into our characters I think very well, and I just kind of like I approached him in a different way than I have with any other one. I had to go slower, I had to like talk a little bit deeper, and so um, uh, it was just a kind of an exercise and just kind of refraining from going fast and taking my time with him. Um, Me and Mr. Von David, he basically like the voice director. We kind of collaborated, and he was like, "I really want you to go slow. I really want you to like feel this. I want you to like I want you to take your time because he doesn't have to rush anything. He has a swagger about him." And then me and we both came up with like a good character for him. So I was extremely like happy when that happened. Like it's like I'll always remember him. And I didn't know exactly like how significant his role was going to be in Sword Art Online. I thought he was going to die like a lot sooner, and to have him go up against like reach it all the way to the end, I thought was just awesome, dude. It's so cool.
Who do you think that you personally relate the most to out of like major characters that you played?
Sorry, I said Mr. Von David, but his full name is Alex Von David, who was the voiceover director, who was a fantastic man, and just like I love him to death. I want people to know that Alex Von David, I love you, man. Um, I would say, let me see, what was it? Okay, so it was what was the character that I felt the most, huh? God, dude, that is a good question. I would say, I would say I really identify with Boulder from Transformers Rescue Bots. That was my
Hmm.
first role that I did because I would say because I got him right when I saw the email. Sometimes you get an audition and you have to like go, okay, how am I going to approach this audition? What am I going to do? And with him, with Boulder, I just kind of clicked because they wanted someone who was smart, compassionate, uh, whimsical, a little bit of like a little naive at sometimes. And so I really like with Boulder, I just really kind of identified with his wonder of humanity and curiosity. I loved it. And also I would say Broccoli would have to be like my, would be have to be actually one of my all-time favorites. because I just kind of like got into like his whole role of being, you know, the main captain, and you know, having these people that he's looking after, and also trying to maintain this horrible situation that's going on and trying to be engaged. So I would say probably Boulder and Broccoli would have to be
Okay.
like, yeah.
So then I know with Fire Emblem that you got the console game first, Awakening, before Heroes.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny when you record for Fire Emblem, you don't really get told what part of the game you're being put in. You're just like you're in Fire Emblem, and then you'll figure,
Right.
you know, so you're like you're in Fire Emblem. Like, all right, cool. I don't know exactly. There's so many different variations and so many different like add-ons that they do because it's constantly evolving. So when I got Benny and Voltaire, I was uh I was like, oh, who are these cats? You know, but Benny's very like, you know, he's actually like a little bit like Boulder a little bit, but he's very, very simple. I looked at him like Frankenstein in a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
Frankenstein is very innocent, yet he can kill you with like he'll just go, you know, like it's nothing. That's Benny. Benny's like a lover, and he's huge, and he's freaking like, you know, very simple, but like, you know, he's Benny, and Benny has like he loves everybody, but you know, why are you so mean to Benny? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then when I had Voltaire, I was like, dude, with him, um, I was like, I was just, I mean, with him, he was just like, he looked automatically. I was like, I want to take you to a sadistic, you know, to a non-binary sadistic role. And you know, just how I looked at him. I looked at him as a sadistic man of the people. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was fun. That was very fun. Um, what was the question again?
Oh, it was just how you first got involved with
Yeah, yeah.
the franchise.
So yeah, yes, yeah. So then I was part of the franchise. So then sometimes they would have like little updates, and I would just sort of, you know, just do that, and kind of like, okay, well, whatever you want me to do. Like if I had stuff for Benny, like any updates for Benny, that's great. And vice versa. So yeah, it was like I just auditioned, I got it, and all of a sudden I'm in this game, and I got people like, you know, loving it, and a huge fan base. You don't like so I'm a gamer, but there's certain games that I don't play. Like I love running
Mhm.
guns games. I love like fighting games. You know, for RPGs, I it takes me a while for me to get in it. So and once I get in it, I spend a lot of time on it. So I tend to stay away because I just don't have time, man, to get all involved. Like I would love to play Zelda right now. Like, everyone's freaking out over it. And I'm like, dude, if I get in there and I'm paying 6 hours a day, you know, I got two kids, I got to get auditions in, I got, you know, I'm doing shows and all this stuff. So it's like, I just don't have time to get really involved, but I need to get time this summer and just really geek out on some good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know most recently too with Fire Emblem that you got a Anankos, which was the evil dragon guy with red eyes.
Yes, 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 yes. God, when did I play that one? God, when did I do that one? That was that recently?
It just came out like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I don't know when I recorded that one because you can record a game and it could be in development for like a year to 2 years,
Right.
and within that time, you're like, oh shit. There's games where I'm like, oh man, I did record that. Like, when did I get that one? I this game, I'm itching so bad. I'm itching to talk about, but I cannot. I have a strong ironclad NDA. But oh my god, like when I can like finally talk about it, I'm just really psyched to be part of it. So, and it looks fantastic.
Have you gotten any? I don't even know if you've noticed, but the general consensus like fan base for Fire Emblem, especially for when you did Valter and Anankos, that everybody was just blown away by what you did.
Oh man, I was you know, when you do voiceovers, you don't really know if a role that you're going to do is going to pay homage to the character. Like the biggest thing you want to do is to make sure that you pay respect to the character and the fan base that is involved with the character. Like I didn't know how exactly, like, you know, how big a fan base Benny was going to have or Voltaire was going to have. I just was sort of like, okay, well, I felt this is what I felt with the characters, and I was like, well, let me do the characters justice. Let me make sure I act accordingly. I want to bring out, you know, I want to bring out their charm. I want to bring out what makes them vulnerable. I want to bring out what makes them like funny, all that, and I happen to click. And so the biggest compliment you can have as a voiceover actor is when people are saying, God, I really love what you did. And because you could be in your room all by yourself, just auditioning and not hearing anything. You won't hear anything back. You just have to keep auditioning. You book something, you have an NDA on it sometimes there's a code word on it. You don't really know how the significance of what you're booking until it comes out, and then you see people's responses. Like that was like with Whole Horse. I didn't know people were gonna flip over Whole Horse. I mean, God, I was like, oh, I hope he's cool. You know what I'm saying? I hope people like him, and people are always commenting on him and giving me memes and stuff, and I just it's the biggest compliment when people appreciate your work.
I know wasn't a huge part, but one of my favorite recent anime that you got to be part of was in '86.
Oh yes. Oh my God, I love that anime so much. I mean, my character for that, he was just so freaking. I love those mentor characters. You know, like I love those characters where you can be the guy who's gone through the shit. He's. I think Alex directed me on that one too. You've gone through the shit. You're like a mentor, and I'm spacing on my character's name right now. I totally forgot my character's name. And it was one of my favorite characters I did too. It's one of those days. But on 86, it was like I fell into him immediately because he's kind of like the role model. What is his hot damn? Hold on a second. Do you know do you know the character's name in 86?
Like you too.
Hold on. 86. And then we're gonna go to the voiceover 86 anime. We're gonna go to the voiceover website.
Were you a fan of Berserk already when you got into that role?
So okay, so for Berserk, God, that role was nasty. That one- he's nasty. That role, I remember I watched a few anime. I watched a few Berserk, but it was like I wasn't firmly on it. But I did watch it a lot. I did watch like a few of it. Hold on, I'm just going up from behind. Now I'm like, I can't let this go. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone out there. Lev. Lev. Lev Aldrich. That's what it is. Lev Aldrich from 86. All right, I got it. All right. When I did Berserk, when I played, let's see, who did I play?
Zod.
Yeah, when I played Zod, oh my God, Zod was so nasty. I was just like, because I love to get like guttural with my like, because you get down low and it's just you can just tear your face off and I love that shit. Um, like I love to get nasty. I love to be a baddie, as people say. And he was just like when I got that role, I kind of like did a little research on him because he was another reiteration. I think it was before he was in another part of Berserk, I believe,
The
um,
original series, yeah.
series. So I was really wanting to do him justice, and I loved how he came out. He just came out nasty. I had a fun time playing him.
hmm I think the last major character we didn't touch on yet was in Beyblade.
Oh, with Loden.
Yeah.
Yeah, Loden is great. It's funny because my son's name is Odin, so
Oh,
I thought that was like I thought that was a really cool. I was like, oh, look at you! Like that was a good omen from the universe when I got Loden. And Loden is just like I like him. I like he's an all around competitor. Loves the game. Is extremely like is gonna like tear your face off to win. Is a little bit full of himself, and gets humbled, obviously because he loses. But yeah, he was fun. He was really fun. He was really fun to play. Another one of those like puff your chest out, just like I'm gonna win, da, 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 like have kick your ass, da, 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 that kind of shit. It's fun. It's always fun playing those characters.
so is there anything else that's upcoming or part of you can safely talk about?
This video game that's gonna be coming out is like I wish I could. Oh my God, I really wish I could. Um, right now I'm strapped with NDAs, so I can't really. I'm not say I don't say anything. I have like two games that are coming out. That should be one's gonna come out in September, and I don't know when the other one's gonna be finished, so I can't really say anything about that. Um, but yeah, there's some good stuff. I'm currently just like throwing stuff against the wall, trying to get some more stuff going on. Um, Anime has been semi kind of quiet lately, so I'm trying to get back into the stream with that. More animation, more video games and stuff like that. That's always on the radar. I also do promo and I also do commercials too, so it's a little bit of everything. Right now, I'm doing this series called Customer Wars and Neighborhood Wars, as well as Road Wars. It's on A&E. I basically narrate this. We get clips of all these calamitous like stuff that goes on, and I comment on it, and I tell the backstory on it. And it's on A&E right now, so you can hear my voice in that. Um, I just did this one Acura series called Chiaki's Journey. It's volume 2, and I play this guy named P. And so like that was fun. So we just got finished finishing that. I was on the end of the tail end on season 1, and now on the tail end of season 2. You can see that on the Acura website. Chiaki's Journey, which is awesome. They're like little short 1-minute clips, but the animation is just fantastic.
Okay. Well, my final question then is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Man, that's a great question, man. I want my legacy to be various. I want characters of various depths and backgrounds, and I guess I want my legacy to be that of a hard worker, of quality. I want my legacy to be that of quality. Like you can only do what you can do for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be like anyone else. I'm trying to be the best, me I can be. And if people can respect or appreciate the work I put on it in characters, that's like the most, and love what I've done with them. That's like the best reward for me. I would want my legacy to be that one of hard work, dedication, and creativity. I would love to, like, just to be respected, and for people to like what I do. And that's like, and that just falls, and that's always on the VO artist. That's why you always have to be passionate with what you do, and really, give everything 110% when you do your role. Um, you know, does that answer?
Well,
Is that rambly?
no, you're okay.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for. I mean, thank you for reaching out. Sorry, for everyone. It took Chris a while to pin me down. I'm normally like, you go, you have a day, you're in the booth, you're going from session to session. So I apologize to you for making
Oh,
you do hoops and stuff. So
that's
thank you
fine.
so much. I mean, when someone shows interest in my work, I just think it's like the best compliment. It really is.
Yeah. Well, have a good rest of your day then.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for making me part of this as well.
Oh, no problem.
And all of you out there, man, all of you guys who rock with me, I appreciate you. I love you. And just thank you so much for all your support. It really means everything to me.